Joining me now is NBC politics reporter Allan Smith. 267% is extraordinary. That is enough maybe to get somebody to go to a ballot box. I live in Virginia. I'm not near one of these data centers. I've noticed my prices tick up. How are state lawmakers responding to this in both Virginia and New Jersey?
So any backlash that's brewing right now is still very early stages, but we are seeing it particularly in Virginia, where the data center industry is much more expansive. And state lawmakers have been trying to offer fixes, right, for issues that have crept up around the electricity bill hikes that are happening near these data centers. Very little, though, is getting passed right now, and almost nothing has been enacted as law yet to kind of alleviate any of these pressures. But in Virginia and New Jersey, both places, lawmakers are saying they're hearing a lot more about this, and they think this is going to be only a bigger and bigger issue even as we get past the elections next month.
Do you get the sense it's something that most voters haven't necessarily correlated to their own activity? Like, we've seen people use artificial intelligence way more just in the past year than they have before. And isn't it AI that's really accelerating this massive use of energy?
So the interesting thing here is that data centers have long existed, right? You need data centers to run Uber, Amazon, every single tech app you can think of. But with AI, the data centers require so much more power than data centers previously did in order to run these programs. So, you know, these data centers have really only sprung up recently within the last couple of years. And now, you know, residents are noticing, hey, the improvements that have to be made to the power grid to power these data centers, I'm seeing the cost reflected in my bill, and I'm not changing my amount of electricity usage at all.
Right. And then we also have the strain on other sorts of public utilities, water being another one. These data centers require the use of water. How is that impacting the communities?
So you're hearing a lot about that in more rural areas where some of these data centers are being built, obviously near water sources, where people are starting to see the impacts. I think when you think ahead to the midterms, you got states like Arizona and Nevada that have a lot of water issues, and that you're also seeing a pretty significant increase in the amount of electricity that data centers are using. You can see this brewing into a cocktail that might be a really potent issue in places that we already pay a lot of attention to because of the elections that are going to take place next year.
And the last point I want you to make about this is it's also one of these investments that's not necessarily automatically generating jobs, right? I mean, it's one thing for a lawmaker or gubernatorial candidate to say, yeah, we're going to work with these tech companies. We'll give them some tax incentives because they're going to bring a bunch of good paying jobs here. It's not as if there's no jobs with these big data centers, but it's not a ton, right?
So this is something that you hear from state lawmakers on this. You know, maybe these electricity bill hikes, maybe, you know, property tax assessments going up as a result of these data centers would be more palatable if there were a lot more jobs coming to the local communities. But as one state lawmaker said, these are essentially very large boxes that create value, but not a whole heck of a lot more.
Yeah. And is it something that is falling along bipartisan lines, this concern right now?
So this is really interesting because the issue is so new. There hasn't really been much time for it to be split on partisan lines. You're seeing Republicans and Democrats trying to solve some of these problems, pushing back on this a little bit. And then when it comes to the coalition coming together on the ground, as a state Senate Republican in Virginia told me, you've got conservative farmers and environmentalists teaming up to try and, you know, combat this.
Right. Really great topic, Allan. Thanks for looking into it for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.